The topic of today, this panel and this session will be early stage therapeutic investments. And we have a very bespoken panel here in front of us. I think that right now it's still there's one of the greatest times to raise funds for early stage therapeutics for biotech companies. There's a lot of money out there, great technologies from companies, from research institutions, and we would like to dig a little deeper into the process how we as investors look into early stage therapeutic investments, from how we source deals, how we work with deals, and how we see exits. And for the beginning, I would like to introduce the panel. Maybe Christina, you would start.
Does it work? It does. So at this point of the name tags, I think we'll present ourselves and we'll manage. My name is Christina Tucker. I'm managing partner and co-founder of FIBI Ventures. FIBI Ventures is an early stage European fund, so we invest all across Europe. We're located in Ghent, Belgium. What we do for a living is really finding science and trying to work with the entrepreneurs to get that science also out of academia, put it into an entity and make it fundable. So we'll work general in syndicates, setting up these entities. One special part of us, we've managed to arrange a framework agreement with the largest research organization in Belgium, the VIB, the Flanders Institute of Biotechnology, where we work on an exclusive base, or exclusive base, at least we have an exclusive look what everything comes out of their tech transfer, and then sit with them and shape it. That means we're not exclusively linked to them, so this is part of our proprietary deal flow. For the rest, we work with all our colleagues and pharma companies to find the best opportunities.
Yeah, thank you. So lucky for all of you, you have a lot of European investors on the panel. So Rob Bultes, I'm a managing partner at Inkev Capital. We are a 500 million euro fund based in Amsterdam, investing in healthcare and in tech. I manage the healthcare part of that firm. We invest across healthcare, so that means in therapeutics, devices, and also the convergence of tech and healthcare and digital health. Long-term vision as an investor, so we have quite significant tickets that we can invest per company basis, so about 15 to 30 million euros on average per company total life cycle. And invest that starting at the early stage. So our vision is that we want to be part of companies from the start, help teams create and build their companies. We typically make our first investment in the seed to A round, and with that have the ability to support companies long term. As I said, we're European investors, so our investments are primarily in Europe. We have a few US-based companies, and those are typically companies that over time we have transitioned from their initial European base to a US base, driven by their product, their market, or the need for talent or capital market, which we don't have in Europe.
And Sin, last but not least, Sin from A Growth Capital.
Thank you. My name is Sufa. I'm the principal of the A-Rose Venture Capital. And we have only one LP modality, so we are like a fund. And I'm part of the healthcare team. The healthcare team invests in the healthcare ecosystem. Every part of the healthcare we invest in. And but personally, I invest in the therapeutic areas. And majority of my deals in China, and we also invest in the US together with our sister funds and Prime. And we do invest from the seed stage to round A, round B. And sometimes we follow the round C, but we do go further. So we would like to see all the new technologies, exciting technologies. And the good part of this fund, because it's evergreen, so we are long-term, very patient fund. We can be with the entrepreneurs for very, very long time. And
You said last but not least, but I think last but not least.
Yeah, we are one of the most active seed and early stage funds in Europe. Halte Gründer funds, we are based in Germany. We have 900 million euro under management in 3 funds, and currently invest out of our 3rd fund. We do invest across all industries, but I'm in the assets team, and we do investments across, from biotech to medtech to digital health and new material. Usually up to 3, sometimes 4 million per company over the lifetime, 1 million usually in the first round. We invest across Europe and rare occasions also in the US as well, if we have partners here. We stay on with our companies, HEGF has money from a bank, small part from government now, the third fund, and 34 LPs, many from the industry, including pharma industry. We're always happy to invest together with all the partners here on the table, and maybe some of you in the room, because I would like to start off with a small poll. So who's in the audience? Any institutional investors here? Okay. Some are from the US? Investors from the US? Okay, that's great. Maybe you could add your perspective, because as you see, this is very European-centered here, obviously, so it's great if you would add your insights. Any private investor, business angel in the room? Okay, the first row, great. Startup companies in fundraising? It's most arms, perfect. And anyone from corporate venture? Okay, perfect. Anyone I've missed? Maybe academic groups, people? Okay, perfect. So a very mixed audience. That's perfect. Feel free to ask questions. We don't have someone going around with the microphone, but I think if you speak up, we are able to get your question. I would like to start off with the process, so how the investors look at the early stage therapeutic fund companies, how we see and how we source deals. So maybe you will or add in how you source your deals, and how many you see or how many you do, because this number is always very, it's a large number, but somewhat astonishing for the startups.
Maybe I kick off. Well, in terms of numbers, what we see in deal flow, and that varies probably from firm to firm, it doesn't tell you a lot, but I think what's important, how many of these can we actually do from the ones we see? And we made a calculation, and our average is like 1% we see we can really do. So we are a closed-end fund, we try to build a portfolio of 40, 50 companies. That means when we see 300, 400 a year, it's probably a percent we can do. It might not be different from others. So that's more about the number, but how do we get to these companies? Well, or to be companies in our case. Most of them, there are not companies yet. So when we go out, we really work closely with the research institutes. And then it's not only us going to the research, but it's also the TTO where we have a close relationship, Technology Transfer Center, where we sit and they look at what is their records of invention. We look out and on this conference, what are the areas we're interested in, and try to combine the two views to find where's the science, and then work together where is the entrepreneur who can take it up and run with us. And one thing which is important for us, we realize in Europe, still the lack of management, the lack of this entrepreneur taking that science and working with the scientists together to do it. The scientists with us, most they would like to stay in science, and that's good, and I think we encourage them to do what they're best at, but build up a team very early on and combine yourself with a entrepreneur or a more commercial person. That's where we help. And then also where the fund can help. People from our fund can take interim decisions to bridge that first half a year to a year until the seed round is together and we build the venture.
We probably have a very similar story. I find the interesting thing when you do early stage investing, so every time that we discuss this, we talk about science. And science is fundamental to many of the things that we do in our industry, and science is fundamental to many of the things that we do as an investor. But the tricky thing is that science is only relevant when you do that in a setting with people around it, where you can translate that science into something that becomes commercially relevant. Everyone who works on my team finds science intriguing, but what we find really intriguing is if we can see that there's a way to create a product, create something that we can sell, something that gets actual value out of that science. So you think about deal sourcing, it's an iterative process. So we build relationships with people all the time, whether they're entrepreneurs, whether they're academics, build relationships where you start to get an understanding whether these are the people that at some point in time could help you build a business, could translate science into something that is meaningful. So a lot of our sourcing is based on building relationships, listening to stories, helping to iterate those stories, helping to provide feedback as an investor on the earliest stories that we hear, seeing those stories evolve to something that becomes meaningful, and at the point that we feel comfortable and confident that it's something that could transform into a business, engaging in a discussion about an investment. Sometimes that's a slightly frustrating process for entrepreneurs because it means that you come with your story to an investor. We take up quite a bit of your time to ask you questions, listen to your story, do our diligence. But if you're in a good relationship with that investor, you also get something in exchange for that. You also get feedback from those questions. You get our feedback on that is your thinking currently, but in order to make this into a company, in order to create this, transform this into something that is going to be meaningful to us, you'll have to think about a couple of other things. Once you get there, come back and have a discussion again. That is usually the process that we source our deals. And the source can be, again, it can be academic thinking, it can be someone in a pharma company who thinks about spinning out an asset. So that's very, very, very good. What is fundamental to us is that, again, we can find that team, but we can find the people that want to take that initial step and that are willing to team up with us in terms of defining what that business is going to be.
Since you are active globally, then that must be more challenging to build relationships and to source deals that you at the end might invest in.
Actually, interestingly, because we are all LP subsidiaries, so it's very well recognized in China as well. So in China, the sourcing actually is quite easier for us. Every year, this year in therapeutic areas, we probably see like 300 VPs. Then a third of them from the FA, and probably a third of from France, and a third or less than a third from other funds. They try to build a synergy, so they introduce their projects to us, and we look at them. And what we really find is it's hard to do in China. Is like probably some, in the US, we rely on our system fund and private. They invest and we invest. In China, then it's easier for us to find the professors, and then we follow up with them regularly to see what's the heart in the science and if they can do anything further. But there's always a gap. We have the professors, we have the technology, but it's still in the academia institution. It's hard to translate into the industry. And in China, there's a very lack of entrepreneurs in our tech industry. There's lots of people working for multinational companies, but they like to work for big organizations. They don't really have that kind of entrepreneurial shift in their mind. And there are some like scientists want to do these things, but scientists always lack of the way to think in the business. So there's we start to see more, but we still think there's a general big lack of the entrepreneurs in China who really build a great idea from the very small thing, and we are lack of that. So in China, then when we look at all the deals, and we think they are good deals, they are good science, and we lack of people. So one of the strengths we build in China is to help the small companies recruit the best people they can in the medical, in the clinical, and even in science, and then to help them to build a team and help them to grow faster than by themselves. So that's our.
Well, hiring people into teams, especially if you look at early stage investments, is a crucial topic. So I have added management in 5 of my portfolio companies last year, and this is a very time-consuming process, and a process that has to be communicated very well between the investors and the scientists. What's your experience with this? I mean, we start with scientists. We start off with great science in these early stage programs. Adding management is something that early years, maybe when you enter the clinic, when you go into business development with clinical trial phase, data, how you see this, how you work with the management on this, because this is a very crucial but sensible topic.
I agree, and sometimes I'm really looking jealous to the US, where my gut feeling is at least there's more talent out there, more talent to be freely movable and willingness to take on new jobs. What I have learned in the past, and I think what Fund has learned, we prefer to start with at least two of them in the beginning. So if it's not only with the scientists, there is something lacking. And well, we've made that experience in the past. Well, there was a scientist, yes, I'm CEO, yes, from the beginning, I can do it, sure, I learn, I mean, at the end, at the goal, it's always too late to take on changes. So one of the learnings we have, if feasible, of course, we'd like to start with the team with partners in crimes, that these people can team up early on, can speak to each other and can challenge each other. That makes, at least from our view, the better companies.
Yeah, I agree. Let's think about this, right? So many hands went up in the audience when we said so who is with a startup and who's raising capital. I think when you think about this question, part of that is sort of as an entrepreneur, be open to the fact that your investors will want to find complementary skills, other people that will help you build your team, to support your team. But I think the more important question when you think about this is to find an investor who's willing to invest in you. Would the almost reflects that investors have, VCs have, and have historically had, is that we start a company, we invest in a company at the stage that we're doing discovery research. By the time that we're moving to more translational topics, we'll replace the CEO because we need someone who can take translation. By the time that we get to the clinic, we need yet another one. Has a huge impact, first of all, on you as a founder. It's not very nice to go through that process. But it also has a big impact on how stable your organization, how strong your culture is, how you build your R&D organization, how you bring a team, an engaging team to build something that goes towards success. So I think it's a really important question. So we can ask that question to the team. How do you look at building your organization? Who do you need to have next to you to build this together? You should ask that question to your investors as well. How do you see me? How are you going to invest in me? Because what you don't want is a board of investors that sits there evaluation and at some point in time says, now it's time for someone else. What you want is a board that anticipates that when we do discovery research today, in 2 years from now, we're going to progress to a stage where other topics are going to be relevant. If I, as a CEO or as a founder, do not have the expertise or the ability to lead those topics today, but I know I have another 2 years, then I should probably invest a little bit in my ability to lead the company going forward. So I find that a very really important topic. When we build companies, we do that with teams that we invest in because we like the science and we like the team around it. So the starting point is with that team, we're going to build a company going forward. We might add people, but we also want to see that the people that we invest in initially can develop and grow into roles going forward where they can build the company. There's some really nice examples in Europe and in the US of large biotech companies that were built with teams that were also there at the startup stage. It's definitely something that we can do.
No, I agree, and that's also something the industry, at least what I've realized, the early stage investors and the companies have learned over the past to be more transparent on these topics. When we started, it was a topic everybody had in mind, but nobody voiced it. And the moment you sit around the table and draw your virtual organization to a large organization, and you're forced to make these thoughts and discuss them. That's very important. I totally agree.
Any thoughts from the audience on this topic or comments? So we find the science great, so we have a team that we would like to invest in, and how we do it. So especially in biotech, at least in Europe, we have seen a lot of larger rounds recently. So rounds that in the seed stage are 20, 30, 50 million, something that didn't happen before, 3, 4, 5 years ago in Europe. It has been around in the US for longer. So how do you see this? Would you start off with a company with smaller rounds and say, give it a runway of 12 months and then do the large round? Or would you always like to syndicate and do 15, 20 million rounds that brings them through preclinic and all, or maybe even through phase 1?
I mean, just a few years ago, then maybe like 2 years ago, we do smaller runs, and now like we'll do larger runs, even like around 800, 150. So it's quite large.
150 million.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, the large round, I mean, it's not really that we want to do that way, but actually, even if it's a large round, we can still do the countries. So actually, it's also another way to protect investors, also help to motivate concerned entrepreneurs to put them forward. But the large round, one thing is like we think this can bring them to the POC, really give the valuation to the point that we think they are going to really move to the next step. The second thing we think we give them a large round so the management team can concentrate on their really good science work. They don't need to run around to ask for money for the next level in 5 years, maybe 1 to 2 years.
Okay.
So that way we think that's probably the best way for them to spend their time.
Other thoughts on this?
There's an interesting balance that you see in the market right now. So I think what's good about is on both sides of the ocean, here as well as in Europe, you see that we concentrate capital around the most promising ideas. So you see larger seed rounds, you see larger A rounds, with the ability, if you have a platform, to interrogate that platform and look at multiple programs in parallel to see if you can create value that way. As long as that is in balance with, as long as the gross money valuations of those deals are in balance with the kind of data points you can generate, that's a healthy thing to do. I mean, you talked about some of these really larger A round setups, and if I do a 70 or 100 million A round, that's really an A, B, C, D round in tranches, right? So we all know that is the way that it works. At the early stage, A and seed, I feel quite comfortable that in the current market we're doing the right thing. I think where you look at B and C rounds, I find it slightly more challenging to see that works. So we see B rounds of 70, 80 million, with usually business plans that does not really get you to proper clinical validation. So you're looking at post-money valuations of over 100. If I do that and I show a clinical candidate or maybe some tox data in a phase 1 trial, I really have a hard time to believe how you're going to finance those companies going forward. A lot of that is not driven in the current market by the needs of the company, but it's driven by the availability of capital from LPs to VCs. So you see that we've been raising larger amounts of larger funds, 400 or 500 million funds. These funds are trying to get deployed in the first 3 or 4 years, because when you get through a certain threshold, you can start raising your next fund. So I need to have 70-80% of my fund deployed to be able to do that. So there's a lot of VCs that try to deploy those funds quickly to be in a position to fundraise in the current cycle. And that means that you get a lot of stress on the system for those larger rounds, the ones where you can deploy bigger tickets. And I find that quite an unhealthy situation to be in. We really want to fundamentally see that your financing is in line with the value that you can create towards an external financing, otherwise you're going to be stuck. Those investors are not going to carry the next round of financing on their own. And that's going to be your challenge as a founder, not their challenge. They're protected from that.
So these large rounds then are barely done by one investor. Usually they're done in syndicates. How do you see working in these syndicates with corporate ventures, with high network individuals? Of course, you always want to syndicate with big institutional investors, typical guys who might have done one deal already, so that's the best money deal you would like to do. But how do you work with these other people in syndicates?
We can give you the go on that with our fund, as we are not one of the huge funds who can allow themselves taking around on your own. Our model has been syndication from the start, and how we syndicate and with whom, it really again depends on the vision, the view of these syndicate partners. We have partners that are really very comfortable to syndicate a very early stage company creation phase, because we know we run into difficulties, probably the business plan, the company as will be delayed by a year, you will need more money. So, and you don't want to have people back on board looking at the Excel sheet saying, well, we have that milestone there and we're really critical on not putting money in. Of course, you shouldn't put money in if it doesn't make sense, but you also should be aware that the plan you draw today will probably not be planned tomorrow. So there are a couple of parties we have good experience with, and we are adding parties to them because we get to know more of them. But if there are corporate ventures or financially driven ventures, for us, at least so far, it hasn't made a difference. We realized that years ago there was this big rule of financial investors not investing with corporates. But my feeling is that has been shifted over the past. There's a lot of contribution that can come from the corporate investors. Of course, you need to take into account what their intrinsic driving forces are to do that deal, and as long as people are aware of that, I think it can be managed.
So far, most of the deals we've done are with the syndicates, with the peer funds. Because I mean, there's a circle, and these funds we like to deal with, and we always do deal with these funds. And the one reason is the size is getting larger and larger. Some of the large funds actually they participated earlier. That's Sophia, like Pure House, I don't know, because they are Sophia China is Pure House. They are very famous in China. They are very large size, but they want to participate. So that make each fund, even round A is very big. So we work with them because we have the same thinking of lots of the investment philosophies, and we don't really invest a lot together with lots of venture funds. The venture funds in China, most of them from the local. It's like the SOEs or like the companies. The investment philosophy is very different. It's hard for us to really work together closely. So they will let those US dollar funds to work together with them, and then we build the syndicate. But with the syndicate, the good thing is that then we have good enough money to pull this forward until next year, that's roughly around 3 years. So that's how we work.
You have worked both with corporate venture funds and before you got the lead of the INCAF. So how do you see it? Did it change for founders working with corporate ventures over the last years, working with pharma ventures?
Well, I think I'm going to still make the same case that I made 10 years ago. I'm really happy to see that some of my co-investors have slightly changed their perspective on the corporate venture. So I used to run Merck Ventures and was also involved in an organization that looked at corporate venture across industries. Corporate venture in pharma is seen as state-of-the-art as compared to any other industry. The only thing that comes close is in tech. In terms of the ability of those funds to invest together with institutional investors. The way that corporate venture funds are organized in our industry is to a large extent, there's a few exceptions, but to a large extent separated from the parent organizations with the ability to add the value you get with the access to an R&D organization, to a commercial organization in pharma, but without the challenges that people always foresaw as conflicts that we don't see in those relationships. So I think the biggest proportion of corporate venture funds in pharma are really well organized, are super professional, and can add a lot of value to your syndicate. So I think that's a great thing to have. So we continue to work with a lot of those groups. It's good to know.
Any questions from the audience at this stage? So maybe I'm working, trying to put together a syndicate. Any of you comment on that? Really? Has someone corporate ventures in the syndicate from the startup companies here? No?
One question. So when you think of putting together a syndicate, is the company driving the business, or you typically have one of the leading investors that will help you get it? How do you apply that?
The question was how to bring together a syndicate. Is the company, would you expect the company doing it, or one of the investors is doing it? Maybe you want to answer. I haven't taken this as well.
I think I don't give you a yes and no with that one, because what we see as, I think, will also elaborate, it's a common effort with the entrepreneurs and the scientists and the venture capitalists. So we all bring our networks together because that scientists that might have spoken to funds previously, they have a relationship, we have a relationship. So it's really for us sitting together and very simply, well, even we had an Excel sheet which is shared by the company and the DPC. We look to whom you have spoken when, or how we can join forces, what makes sense, in which meetings we go. So it's for us, maybe because we are early stage investor, it's a common effort. So of course the lead investor takes the first go, but of course you need to put syndicate together that the others can work with you.
One of my colleagues has an interesting sort of parallel to this. So he sometimes pulls up a graph that shows the average length of a marriage. It's about 7 years. Now, that is very comparable to the time that you're going to be engaged with that group of investors. And so before you get married, through your diligence, you really want to make sure that you want to be in a long-term relationship. I think that, we will do a lot of the work that is needed to bring a syndicate together. A lot of that are relationships that we can bring to the table that we can help with. But if we're not open to your inputs in that process, you should really think twice whether we're the right investor for you, right? Because we cannot force a syndicate. We should develop that together. We should develop that in such a way that we get the strongest group of investors in the world. Also the strongest group of people that can help you on your projects to support you as a company. I sometimes believe that you actually put yourself in a stronger position when you're, as an entrepreneur, when you're more critical on that process. We ask more questions, do your diligence on me. If I'm making a proposal to invest in your company, you really want to know who I am, how I behave as an investor. You want to reference check me, so ask for that. Some of the strongest CEOs that we work with insist on being able to take references on us personally, which we will definitely join you. You should do that actually.
Yeah, and also part of at least my job here, and I think that it comes from all the colleagues here, is going around and talking to investors for our portfolio, for my portfolio, and trying to find investors, pitch our companies. That's a big part of my job as an early stage seed investor, that's how it works as well. So once there is an investment, things are going well, maybe the development process into the clinic towards the proof of concept in phase 2, we might together think of an exit. One of the investors I work with, one of the large European investors, says that IPO is not an exit for him. So how you see exits for early stage companies. We have seen early deals now in Europe after phase 1, not waiting until the proof of concept. So how you see this in your portfolio?
Sure. So from our fund perspective, actually IPO is very important. And
IPO where? Which platform? Where?
Most of them like in Hong Kong stock exchange, especially with the last year stock exchange opening down in Hong Kong. And then now also from towards the end of last year, China also created a science and technology listings exchange, and that also open to the companies. So now there's more and more active rounds from the IPO perspective.
So these are companies based in China, or these US-based companies, European companies as well?
For the Hong Kong stock exchange, open to all over the world. So actually also the valuation is quite good. So that's why we like it very much. And the investor, basically they are still learning how to evaluate the company industry. So they are still premium, I think, in waiting for the next several years. It's good places for us, for everyone to think of. Also we do some trade sales. And those are the majority of the activities.
Have you done exits recently?
Well, I have to admit, for our portfolio so young, we are happy that they're developing as they should, so there hasn't been any exit yet, but all the experience I have from the previous fund where I worked with, and there I have to say that at least financing rounds to create or to get the sufficient capital to generate the next value step. And then maybe, if there is a key event, we have the liquidity to go out, but it's not at least per se perceived as in the fund I work with as an exit event. So it's really, and also when you ask me what you do to force or to create that exit, it's a hard question. You're not building companies that they are bought or that they can sell them, but you need to find somebody who will like to buy it. So for me, it's still creating that company, still value step on a standalone basis, and then hopefully through the interactions like conferences here, you familiarize yourself story, and you create the optionality that you can really see what's the next step.
When you look at our exits, we have about invested in 500 companies in the last 14 years now, and I've done a little bit more than 100 exits, but not all of them in life science, not of them in tech. Actually the majority of the investments have not done with M&A advisors. So they are not in a way that we have asked M&A advisor to go out, do due diligence of a company, do a long list, do a short list, and then talk. Most of them actually come through the founders themselves. So do you agree on that, or by connections between the investors? So it's important that you as a founder talk to pharma industry and build this relationship not only to get an investment, but also maybe in 5 or 6 years or 3 years to maybe able to talk to people, in our case in therapeutics, the pharma industry, and to prepare maybe for an exit. You see that as well? If we have look at what we have seen in Merck.
I think you're saying this to some extent the same thing that Christina just said. So you don't want to be sold, you want to be bought. As an investor, I mentioned that at the beginning, for us it's really important that some of our business plans are focused on building a company, developing an asset, seeing that in a standalone situation, obviously along the way looking at any and all sort of strategic opportunities that we may have, but we're not fundamentally creating something or investing something to be sold. I think the interesting situation that you see is that while you progress to develop your data and make sure that that is communicated in the right way, positioned in the right way to the people that are relevant for your process, you will create momentum over time to do that. So yes, the trigger to think about an M&A transaction is often inbound interest. We would still often, in that case, engage an advisor to run a process. If there's one buyer, we want to see that we can leverage that interest and see if there's more interest in the market. But again, in order to create value, we don't start by thinking about the exit. We start by thinking about how we can build a company.
Any question on that from the audience for you? Anything you would like to ask or to add or to comment? Yeah?
So if I can ask about related to building a company till the exit point, right? So there will be multiple steps for you to actually de-risk the company. And from investor perspective, we really want to do that in the most capital efficient way. So just wondering how much of sale control you usually put into company's development plan. Do you want to control a tight budget for the science to reach the risk point, or you usually just leave a lot of budget to the management for them to expand the platform or management team and do the kind of early expansion first? So just want to get some view on that.
Okay, the question has been on the budget basically. So if you develop your company, how tight investors look at the budget if you want to have your company expanding your platform, or if you really have to work on one asset or one compound group, how you control it.
Yeah, I think the question was about on control, right?
Yeah.
So are you still in a position as an entrepreneur, as a management team to run your business? You will, as with any company, whether it's a venture-backed company or a public company, your board will want to approve your business plan. So do we as an investor. So at the beginning of the year, we're venture-backed companies is that VCs like to be operational, and so you get to a board that gets more involved than what they should be, given the role that they have in the governance of the company. So that's something to be careful about, and what we like to do to make sure that that works in the right way is to always have a good, experienced, independent chairperson in our companies, so someone who can really monitor that the way that the board operates and the way that the executive team, I think the term says enough, operates, is that those roles are separated. So yes, if you get 80% or 90% of your capital from outside investors, they will want to have a say about where you go with your company, but that should be at a high level and strategic level. The way that you run the business should be as a team.
I agree. I think there is sort of control or monitoring, but I would phrase it a little different, that the action needs to come from our management team. So it's your budget, you propose a budget, you make a budget, of course, in conjunction and in the thinking process with your investors, so that's what we want to achieve, but it's something the board or the management team proposes to the board, and then we can have a look at, and we can say, well, it fits the line of thinking, it fits the business line, or we have questions. At least that's something our young companies still need to, a lot of times need to learn, because it's the question who takes responsibility, and as we see our function in the board is really helping and controlling, but we are not making it. And if there are deviations from the business plan, I expect my management team to come up with a proposal why we should deviate with a case, and then we can sit together and say how we can finance that. The action should be by management.
So from, my experience in some of the companies at different stages, so it fully depends on the company's needs, because especially for the very early stage companies, we do a lot of things to help them, like the HR, then hiring people, like do the business development, because they do have enough people who really go around and find the best assets for them, and we can help them. And also because we invest in the ecosystem, there's payer providers we invested, there's a CRO company we invested, there are channel companies we invested. So if they need some resources, then we can connect them to provide the resources. And whatever they need, then we'll step in and help people to do it. But some companies, then they really run very well on their own, and we're actually very happy that we just go to the board meetings and prove whatever they think is very reasonable. So it highly depends on the company needs, and at the different stages that we try our best to do whatever we think it's good for the company. But that is requires a lot of actually the investment teams time and energy to do so. So this is one of the reasons we invest very selectively. When we see the companies, then we know we will invest a lot of our time to help them, and then we will be very selective.
I think it's a lot of expectation management. So we know that it always takes longer, it gets more expensive. But and as Christina said, if the management comes to us in the board and says that we have problems here with the budget, even though we have agreed upon it a couple of months ago, then there's always a good discussion about it and an adoption. But the advice also is to use the board and the investors, because they have seen it on 5 or 10 or 20 other companies. And there's some, experience of how things work and how expensive it might get, or how you can, adopt a talks that takes longer, or that has to be repeated. I think that's worthwhile really to ask for the support of the board and investors.
And one thing that counts for every board and every investor, we don't want to be surprised. So I think as long as we know what's happened, know what's going on, we can deal with it. But if some dimension comes up, so we didn't calculate this and that, I think that's kind of bad thing.
So I think we are close to the end of our early stage Therapeutics session. Do we have still one question we can take? Otherwise, we wrap it up here. Anything you would like to ask? You never dared to. There's a question.
Is there a particular valuation method you'll use to help underwrite these companies that maybe peers are generating revenue, if they generate revenue at all?
Great question, actually. We haven't touched upon this, maybe for a good reason. Anyone want to take it?
Fundamental valuation methods, DCFs and so on, do not work in this setting. So especially when you do seed stage investing, you're typically looking at something that is a thesis around biology, around some chemistry. Yes, I can do a DCF, but it's not going to be very meaningful. The way that we look at valuation in those cases is, there's obviously benchmark valuations for companies that are mature, both from an M&A setting as well as in capital markets, where we know that if we can develop our companies to a stage where they could potentially see an exit with the relevant valuations in the current market, which is also again an assumption, are, and you can calculate back from that if you do the case work on if I need to finance my company to the point where it has that sort of phase 2 data and the indication that I'm envisaging, how many rounds of financing do I need, how much time do I need, so I can calculate back from that and see with the expected returns that a VC and investor will have at these different stages, obviously taking into account that the early investors have different returns expectations than the ones that come in a Series B. You can kind of calculate back what a relevant valuation can be. So that's not a fundamental valuation driven by the value of your product, but it's a valuation driven by the capacity that the market has to finance your asset. That's the best I can do.
Do we have the time? Just one short question.
What would you say? I mean, the successful entrepreneurs and less successful entrepreneurs. Could you in 3 words say what makes a successful entrepreneur from your experiences? What do you want to see in that character?
I'm going to take a shot at the 3 words: communication, empathy, tenacity.
I'm less eloquent, I think. For me, it's somebody's driven, communication, entity play.
Yeah, I would say communication and driven, and also adapting. Because many companies we invested in the investment thesis and the successful companies, they don't really the same. So when the company evolves and the things are very evolving, if the entrepreneur can be more adaptive and then the company successful in whatever they
For me, I would like to add grit and passion, because this is something you need as an investor. You have to go through that and to the depth of all the things. Well, I think we have come to the end of our session. Thank you very much for Christina, Rudel, and Sin. Have a great panel. Thank you very much. Thank you for staying with us.